Good morning, everyone. Is everyone enjoying the retreat? Alright. Well, we've already had one blissful day yesterday full of amazing speaker sessions, workshop, SSC Carnival, and a beautiful, blissful music program to close out the evening. Shreya, what would you say one of your favorite parts of yesterday?
Yes. Okay, so definitely the bead making station where I kept dropping all of the beads 4 times. So I actually never made a bracelet, but that was very fun. So
That was one of the SSC Carnival booths?
One of the SSC Carnival booths, that was really, really fun. So whoever thought of that, great idea. Yes, good job, guys.
Yeah, the SSC students definitely did an amazing job with the carnival yesterday. There were a lot of fun games there.
Talent show was really good too. How about you, Yogi? What did you think about? What was your favorite part?
I also very much enjoyed the SSC Carnival. I think the speaker sessions were amazing. I got a lot of inspiration from that. And I thought the workshop was really fun. Given a random object and then trying to come up with a service project, that was a really creative idea, so I enjoyed that one. Alright, so what we really enjoyed yesterday, and I know all of you enjoyed yesterday, but we also want to see how closely you guys were paying attention to everything that was presented. So we're actually going to give a little quiz and see how much all of you in the audience remember from yesterday's talks. So I have a couple of questions here, and these come out of mostly Sister Anu's speaker session. So Sister will see who was paying attention and who was not paying attention. Yeah, don't give any hints. Okay, first question. So this is a quote. God's delays are not blank. Denials, awesome. Okay, you guys were paying attention. Okay, how about this one? Sister Anu said that there are 2 things to pray for. Very good, yeah. Okay, how about one more? What alone is the way through which man can attain immortality? Sacrifice, awesome.
Doing really great.
Good job. Sure, do you have a couple more questions?
I have a couple more questions from Sister Shreyas, or Sister Ramya and Brother Shreyas' talks. Mine are maybe easier. What state are Sister Ramya and Brother Shreyas from? Yes, mine has a state also. Great job. And then, what else? What instrument does Brother Shreyas play? Yes, good job. One more?
How about, what instrument does Sister Ramya use to illustrate detachment? There we go. Do you like your Swiss flute? Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good. Great
I would
job.
say our
Everyone
audience
paying
is very
attention.
well. Yeah, very well engaged. Good job, everyone. Okay, I think we'll just go through some of the announcements for today. So first of all, if you haven't yet visited Swami's room, the meditation room, please do. They have these lovely japamala making kits, so you can make your own prayer bracelet. And we do have, a lengthy break later this morning, so do take advantage of that.
And if you're new to meditation like me, you should make the japamala and then you can learn and practice throughout later. It's really, I think, a great opportunity to make the japamala now and then practice the meditation in the days to come. So,
yes. So that's Swami's room, open until 1 p.m. And then the bookstore is also open until 11 a.m. So please do visit there. They still have some 2024 calendars left. So yes, take advantage of the break to visit the bookstore as well.
and then we have just coming up here another speaker session with Sister Anu. And then the SSC skit offering, which will be really, really lovely from multiple centers, really great. And then after that, we'll have lunch, and then cabin checkout, and then tree planting. So more on that later in the 12 p.m. announcements, but Just make sure when you're going to lunch, think about clearing out of your cabins and checking out of camp too.
Also, one thing just to pay attention is because the kitchen staff also has to clean and we have to dedicate that. So let's go as soon as the programs are done, let's go eat first, all of us, and then come back and clear this. So I spoke to the camp organizers. They said they are not using this place. So even if you are running a little late, cleaning this place is fine, but the kitchen has to be done. So I think we all should take an effort and go finish it off so that the kitchen staff are not stressed about cleaning and handling over.
Thank you. Here's the QR code again with the program for the day. Again, it's on the retreat website, so please do check there. And at this time, I would just like to invite Brother Sai Prabhu up for a brief summary of our Liquid Love blood drive yesterday.
My humble pronouns at the lotus feet of Bhagavan Sri Sati Sai. I want to first thank Swami for giving us this opportunity every year to do the Liquid Love Service project. And I can't remember how I took over this project, but before me I think it was Shankar from Chicago who was running this project. So thanks to all the predecessors who have been doing this for every year. And yesterday we had 28 blood donations. So can I request all the blood donors to stand up, and also who couldn't donate because of some ineligibility? Can I request, if you are here, can you please stand up? Kindly request, yes, there is one there. So please give them a big round of applause. And even if you are not donated but made an attempt, thank you so much, because I know this is one of the service projects which is something that the gratification is not immediate. Just to give a quick story, personally it started for me when I was in college. One day I was going to college. After a weekend, I was getting down from a bus, and one of my friends was coming out of college and he said, "Hey, what is your blood group?" And I told it is B positive, and then he said, "Okay, there is some immediate need, let's go." I was half sleeping, half awake, and then he took me to a hospital. And then I was all the way thinking, oh my God, I've never done this, what's going to happen, and am I going to faint? I don't know, a lot of thoughts were going in my mind. But after the donation, we were about to leave, and the mother of the child, sorry, every time I think about it, I choke a bit. But anyways, the mother of the child was holding both our hands, and she was saying, "Thanks for saving my child, and I don't know who you both are, but your child saved my child today." So apparently that child went through some accident and was in dire need of blood. So even if you don't know, just know that you have saved somebody's life. It could be some child, it could be some mother, father, grandparents. We never know, but you have made an impact in somebody's life. So please continue this, and thank you for saving yesterday at least 54 to 76 lives. Because every blood donation goes up to 2 to 3 lives that are being saved. And if you are O, the group of O, it actually doubles. So thank you so much everyone, and I pray to Swami that we make it more than once in our region, and I pray to for Swami's grace and our Sai Chalapa region service coordinator's blessing. He's right there looking up, literally. So maybe we can convert this into something we can do biannually in our region. So thank you everyone. Sai Ram. Sai. So, before I hand over the mic, I also want to thank our guest speaker for inspiring all of you to come, and our MCs who have been constantly giving reminders. So thanks to them, and big round of applause for them also. So, thank you everyone. Thank you.
I think many of you were also first-time blood donors, so that is also, I know some of you were a little bit scared, so that's really, really nice of you all to donate your blood and save so many lives. So, and I think if you don't know your blood type, there was a QR code at the bottom of the pamphlet you received from the blood donation. You can log on to the app and you might find out your blood type there. So if you're curious.
We were definitely all inspired to do service at this retreat. So thank you all so much, and thanks to Swami as always. Just one more announcement before we turn it over to Sister Anu. As you all might know, we have a tradition every year of celebrating Avatar Declaration Day as the National Day of Service. This year it will be celebrated on October 21st. And as you might know, every year different centers will perform different service projects, and it will all be live streamed to a global audience. So this year, it's coming up on October 21st, so everyone please start brainstorming ideas for service projects and start planning at your individual centers what you might like to do that day. And it's always wonderful to see all the different service projects that are happening on that day around the country and around the world. And with that, I will turn it over to Sister Anu for her second speaker session. We had a lovely session yesterday, so looking forward to hearing more, and hope you all enjoy the rest of the retreat. Sarah.
I didn't even realize Swami's right up there on the slide. Yesterday I was looking at the PowerPoint on my laptop. Offering my prayerful salutations at Bhagwan's divine lotus feet. Respected elders, brothers and sisters, what a beautiful retreat this has been. Once again, a huge shout out to all the leadership here in Region 5. The MCs did a good job summarizing what happened yesterday. For me, it was just all out, a blissful experience, the offerings by the SSC children, and I'm taking back a lot of these ideas to my own center and my own region. So great job, everybody. And one thing that I felt yesterday was, seeing so much of Swami's love in everything that everybody put out. So once again, great job. So yesterday, in my sharing, we talked about the purpose of service, the why, the how, and when, and how to do it, and how not to do service too, and how to be part of his mission. So today I thought I would share some of my family's personal experiences with Swami, and it's going to be hard to summarize everything in 1 hour, because I had some thoughts in my mind, and my mom called me a half hour ago and said, you have to tell these 5 stories. So I said, Mom, I had some pictures, I had a rhythm going. You're like trying to break my groove. So pardon me if you see that things aren't flowing the way they should. Swami says living with God is education, living for God is service, and living in God is spirituality. So that's going to be the focus for my sharing today. I'm sure each one of you can recall how you came to Swami, like who brought you to Swami, who introduced you to Swami, or what introduced you to Swami. It could have been an event. In my case, I was fortunate to be born in a family that was already devoted to Swami. My mother was the first in the family to be drawn to Swami, and this was back in 1964. Sorry? Okay. This was back in 1964. My mother was then working at Madras Port Trust, Chennai, at the Port Trust. And it was a Saturday afternoon. Everybody was winding up from work. And one of her colleagues, and I should mention her name because we should always be grateful for the person that brought us to Swami. So if you're here today, think about the person that introduced Swami to you and offer a manasika thanks to them. Just say thanks to them. And if you were the person that brought your family to Swami, pat yourself on the back. Swami chose you to bring them into the life. So it was a Saturday afternoon, and this colleague of my mother's, Sister Indra, she happened to be the niece of the then state president of Tamil Nadu, Brother Bhaskar, who did amazing service. He actually was in the veranda and left his life at Swami's lotus feet in the veranda. What good fortune, anayasena maranam indeed. So Mrs. Indra said, I'm going to have darshan of Sri Satya Sai Baba. Would you like to come? Now, my mother hadn't heard of that word. Until then, she probably thought the word Baba is associated with a Muslim fakir or something. Now, I have to give you a little bit of background before I go into the story. Theirs was a very conservative, traditional, Orthodox family. Now my father, my grandfather and grandmother were always doing pujas at home. Very simple people. My grandfather was working at Southern Railways, only earning a few hundred rupees as income. He had 5 daughters and a son to take care of in that one income. They were living in a rental home. And if you're from Chennai, yesterday I heard a lot of you are from Chennai. If you're familiar with Vanarapetai, Washermanpet area, that's where they lived in a small, tiny apartment. I'm trying to set the stage here for, so you can kind of picture it in your mind's eye. No car, no cell phone, no cell phone, obviously. No landline, nothing at all. No Google. So it was not, this was a family where the daughters asked the parents for permission for everything. So my grandfather apparently would put 25 paise coin, one for bus charge to work, and one for the charge back home. And then her yoga tries or whatever in the tiffin box. So no taking breaks. So this is how the family was, all the daughters. So for my mother to even say yes when somebody said, let's go see this Baba, was Swami prompting that thought. So she accompanied her friend, and as cliched as it sounds, she went, she saw, and she was conquered. It was instant faith, no questions asked. She decided to take that deep dive. It's called leap of faith. You don't slowly have faith. It's a leap of faith. So that evening, after having Swami's darshan, doing this and coming back home, she got late. And like I mentioned, it was a conservative family, so it was past dusk, as we say, Sandhya Alvele. And my grandparents are prancing back and forth in the porch. Where is she? Where is she? This is a grown adult daughter, but still they're worried for her, they're responsible. So when my mother came in, immediately, without even asking what it is, my grandfather started raising his voice. He said, what is this, Jayam? You're back here so late, it's dusk, what happened? And she started crying, and she said, I didn't go to a movie or a park or a cinema, I went to see Satya Sai Baba. She said, Satya Sai Baba, who is that? Now, they weren't reading any daily magazines, no Dinatandi, no Dinamalar, no Kumudam, subscription. They had absolutely no idea what to expect. So when she said, I went to see Satya Sai Baba, he is God. And then immediately my grandfather, he felt sorry. My mother was the ladli of the house. So she wasn't the youngest, but she was still the ladli. And I think till the final years, that's how they felt about my mom, my grandparents. So he felt very bad that he had, raised his voice and she had cried. So he said, just to appease her, he said, oh, is he here tomorrow too? And she said, yes, apparently he's going to give darshan in a place called, Maika House. If you're from that area, you may know Shri Venkateshwaran in his bungalow, Swami is going to give darshan the next day. And he said, we'll all go. The whole family is going to go. Again, he did that for his daughter, right? But his time had come too. Swami says, even if 100 horses pull you until I will, you cannot come to me. So his time had come. So my mother's first darshan was in Sai Nivas, Perambur. Now, a lot of you may think Sundaram is the happening place in Chennai, but Sai Nivas has been in existence way before that. So that is where she had her first darshan. And so the second day, it was a Sunday, a holiday, so everybody's home. Everybody decides to go to see Swami, and this was in Alvarpet area. I'm just trying to give you an idea of distance because they didn't have a car. So think about the distance. And my mother's eldest sister was physically handicapped. She had a polio attack when she was very young. So within the house, the way she would move around is by dragging herself. And when she had to step out of the home, she would use these surgical boots. I've seen her go through that. It's a process. She needs somebody to help her put them on, and you have these iron cufflinks kind of that really squish that area, and she always has bruises, it's leather boots. And you'll understand why I'm giving you all this graphic detail. So the next day, on Sunday, the whole family went. One of the sisters was already married, and she was living out of town in Madurai. So the 4 sisters went to see Swami with the grandparents. Now, just in that one day, my mother had developed so much faith, enough faith to prod my aunt to say, when Swami comes in front of you, by the way, we call him Swami, and when he comes in front of you, ask him about your handicap. Maybe he can cure you. He's a saint, maybe he can cure you. So my aunt is sitting right in the front. My aunt's name is Karpagam, and my mother's name is Jayam. And as Swami is approaching the area, my mother's prodding her, Kapu, 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 Ask Swami, kapu. And my aunt is a little, this whole thing, that overwhelming presence of Swami with that huge afro, and in those days, there are some pictures, his hair was so beautiful. When we sing Alankrita Kesha, we have to really soak in each word when we sing. And Swami comes and stands in front of my aunt, and my aunt can't bring her words. She's so overwhelmed by this love. Swami is all she got to say. And Swami says, Telusule, nee shoes akkada petti ikkada vachi kurchunnaavu. Swami neeto eppudu unnanu, and he touches her head. She takes Pad Namaskar. So even before she could say anything, this is how the family interpreted it. I know you have this handicap. I know your shoes are there. I know this is going on. Swami is always with you. Now, the choice of words. He didn't say, Swami chuskuntanu. I will look after you. Eppudu unnanu. I'm always with you. And it applies to each one of us here. Yesterday when I was talking to some of you, you were sharing how, you're going through challenges in life. Swami is always with you. But it doesn't end there. Was it just an empty promise? No. So this happened on a Sunday. Swami blesses her. She takes Pad Namaskar, gives Vibhuti, and then they go home. The following Thursday, a registered post arrives in the mail. It's an appointment letter for a job for my aunt. Up until that time, she had been applying for several positions. Even before she could show up to an interview, they would write a reject letter saying, oh, she cannot handle this. She slipped and fell, when she came for the interview. She cannot handle this. She got an appointment order within 4 days of seeing Swami on a Thursday morning. Swami is always with us. Slowly, each person in the family developed their own personal relationship. I'll start with my grandfather. Now, these are not the actual images or the murtis from the family altar. And I must say, today, if you've gone on pilgrimages, if Swami gave you something, you will hold on to it for dear life. You will frame it. You will plaster it like I do in my flyers. You'll see my picture with Swami, right? But their love was so simple for Swami. They didn't even think they should hoard these items. Somebody would come and say, can you give that to me? They would just give it away. That's what Swami says, right? Always giving. That's how they were. So this is a picture of the 68th Jagadguru Shankaracharya of the Kanchi Kamakottapeetham lineage. So my grandfather was an ardent follower of the sage of Kanchi. So he was the guru, who's supposed to lead him to God. And so he felt, I do like the Swami. There's something very charming and attractive. I'm attracted to him, no doubt. But he didn't know enough. He hadn't read enough about Swami to understand what Swami's life and message is about. So he felt, am I dishonoring my own guru? Is it okay for me to start now following another Baba? Is this okay? And as he was thinking, he was looking at a picture of a black and white picture of Shankaracharya, and Vibhuti begins to appear. And he said, Swami, 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 no, I'm not testing you. I'm not testing you. You are God. I'm not testing you. To the right of that picture is a picture of goddess Rajarajeshwari. As I mentioned, my grandmother, very pious. Outside of her, imagine caring for 5 daughters and a son, no mixie, no grinder, no gadgets. You have to do everything. Imagine for such a large family grinding idli batter. Ladies know. Now we go to the store and buy it for $5.99. So if she had time after her chores, she would do her puja, and she would make this dish called Sairam Payasam. So in those days, yes, sister, Sairam Payasam. It truly existed in our family. So this rice, you would not find whole grains. So this nodding, yes. So she would pick out each rice morsel, only the whole rice grain, she would save it, and she would make paisam on Fridays when they had bhajans in the weekend, Saturday, Friday. So that was her offering to Swami. So one day, as she was looking at the altar, the pictures, she was saying, and kumkum was falling. It's so casual for them. That shows you how they did not give importance to these miracles. Today, if someone tells us Vibhuti is appearing, we'll run, get in line to drop a chit and say, Swami, give me an answer for my problems. Will my daughter get into medical school? Will I get this promotion, right? People used to come to the house. They did not care. They never asked. Like Kuchela, they never asked really. So my grandmother's looking at this picture of Rajesh Rajeshwari Amman, and kumkum is falling from the picture. Kumkum is this auspicious red powder, the vermilion. And she's saying, I'll say it in Tamil because I know a lot of you understand. She says, "Ennadu idu color podi mari vilarudhu. Sumangalikkalukku kudukanuna na arakku color la venum, manjal kalanda kumkum." So she's saying, what is this color? It looks like rangoli, like color powder you use for decoration outside the house. I cannot distribute this to like Sumangali's married women. It has to be that deep maroon color of, Swami's Simhasanam right there. And she's saying that is how the color should be, right? It's almost like saying, look at this Baba, what kind of color kumkum is giving. Innocence, that purity is what Swami looks at. And as she's looking at this picture, the family's looking, the color of the kumkum changes and it now falls in maroon color. Now we've all been to Niagara, we've been to Vrindavan Gardens, the music changes and the color changes. They witnessed that right there. Sister mentioned as one of the takeaways, Anayasena Maranam Vinada Inene Jivanam. Both grandparents and my eldest aunt, that's how their passing was. You can tell by the way someone passes how they've led their life, right? So this is one of the stories my mother insisted I share today. In 1994, my grandfather had a dream. And in this dream, he's very, very sick, almost on his deathbed, and he sees a few of his well-wishers, good friends. Now, some of you may remember Uncle Achyutanandam, Uncle Ryan Iyengar, and he sees them, and they come there and say, what is this? He's so sick, you should take him to the hospital. And they insist on taking my grandfather. All this is happening in the dream. They put him in the car, and they take him to HM Hospital, which is right by Sundaram. And they take him there, and they admit him. The doctor says, we need to look at him. And they start to leave when the doctor calls them back and says, I'm sorry, he has passed. And all of this is happening in the dream. They say, I'm sorry, he has passed. And they feel very sad. They take the dead body, put it in the car, and on the way, they stop and pick up a huge rose garland to offer. They come home, and my mother describes this. She says they used to have these benches, wooden benches. They bring him home and put him in the bench, and they're starting to, feel sad. And then they notice there is a chit by Swami's altar. And in that chit is written, she told me the exact verbiage there. There is an assignment given to him. I have given him 4 more years' life. To this day, I don't know what that assignment was. There wasn't an assignment. Swami only knows what that was. And my grandfather passed exactly in 1998 out of old age. And the last few days before he actually passed, he completely withdrew. And they say this about a lot of saints, like when their time comes, they know. And you can be surrounded by your wife, your children. All you want is God. He was like that. I remember because it was days before I arrived. I left India to come to the US. I remember it was very close to my birthday too, the day before my birthday actually. So he had withdrawn for a few days. He wasn't speaking a word, wasn't eating. They would force some water, some liquids in. And you would always find him mumbling. It should be a practice throughout your life for it to come in your final moments. I know in the Puranas we study about Ajamila and stories like that where he led a bad life, immoral life. But in his final moment he said Narayana, and Narayana sent his dutas to fight the Yamadutas and won him. But it has to be a practice throughout your life. Only then will it become muscle memory to go to that picture, where if there is an accident, things like that. So, yeah. It's just when I think back to some of those moments, it's really, really difficult. So this is the story about my grandfather. Now, my grandmother, her passing, I was sharing about how the few days he had withdrawn. So his final moment, he wasn't speaking and he had passed. When we knew that he had stopped breathing, my cousin brother and I went and sent a telegram, as was the practice in our family. Not the app telegram, but an actual telegram with 2 lines. It said, Swami, Sri Muthuswami Iyer has merged in your lotus feet. And then I came back, and they were saying, actually, Tata has not passed. We can still see, he's breathing. It was after I came home, the doctors, one of our friends came and visited and said, yes, he has passed. Even that Swami took care of. He gave him that Anayasena Maranam. Now, my grandmother, she was very, very fond of, we have this attachment, especially that generation, to the son. He's everything. So she had this huge attachment to the one son in the family. And she would have wanted to go with him. But look at the kind of death she had. It was a Wednesday morning. She wakes up in the morning and she tells my uncle, this has happened in his house, and she says, Baba podu, TV la Baba podu. So she's saying, turn the TV on so I can see Baba. And my uncle is saying, Amma, today is Wednesday. Thursday mornings, there was some channel where they would play something on Swami. It's not Thursday, Amma, Baba won't come there. And then he takes a small picture of Swami, like the kind we get sometimes, like something like this. She gives him a picture of Swami. He gives her a picture of Swami. She holds that picture and she breathes her last in his lap. That was how she breathed her last. Now my aunt, so in the order, my grandfather went first, and then my aunt, then my grandmother. So how my grandmother passed as my aunt passed as I was already here in the US. So I heard this from my aunts. She had a stroke. So we knew that it wasn't looking promising. It's going to be any minute now. So, you have to be surrounded by people who don't pull you into samsara, but who push you towards God. That's so important in life. So for those of you who are fortunate to have family and friends like that, you should really thank your stars, because I know several people who don't have that support and they struggle every day. That too is a blessing from Swami. So my aunts, my younger, both my chittis and Amma, they're all going to see Perima because they know she's going to pass soon. And everybody's telling her, and my Perima's feeling so bad, anxious. She's like, oh, Thapu Panita, I've made a lot of mistakes. I've given a lot of work to Amma. I've inconvenienced Tata. I've done all this. And they're saying, don't think about all that. Just chant Swami's name. And she's chanting Gayatri, Sai Gayatri, and that's how she breathed her last. Now, this Perima, I'm sure there were relatives, and I'm sure they thought at some point, oh, she's going to be a burden. For the rest of their lives, my grandparents are going to look after her. After she got that government job, she looked after my grandparents. This is what Swami does. He turns your life around. Yes, enough of the sad stories, a few miracles that everybody's interested to hear. When I saw this beautiful picture of Shirdi Baba, I remembered, again, not the actual picture, it's just I found the best high-resolution pictures for the sake of the slide. There was a nice statue of Shirdi Baba in the home. Now, I mentioned how it's a lower middle-class family, very small apartment, rental house, which there were two portions. One, there was another tenant, and they were in one side. They didn't have a huge space for an altar. So they converted something like an alamari into, like a shelf, into an altar. And in that area, they had different pictures of the different deities, Swami as well, and a statue of Shirdi Baba. So the practice then in those days was, because people in the neighborhood had gotten wind about the miracles, they didn't want any children coming and, throwing vibhuti and saying, look, Baba did this, and things like that would happen. And that time and age, there were a lot of people who were making fun of Swami and saying unsavory things about Swami. So they wanted to protect Swami. So they would keep that door locked when they're not offering arti or doing puja. So one morning, my mother and her immediate younger sister, Raji Chiti, they were both doing some chores like washing their clothes, getting ready for the for the day. And my mother happens to mention to my aunt, now so many devotees are coming to see Swami in that tiny little altar. This huge chair, they would call it Maran Kali. Imagine this Simhasanam, except without the nice cushions. It's just a wooden, solid chair. So they had one of those in the altar, and my mother saying, it's inconvenient for devotees to come in and out. Why don't we move that chair out? And my aunt said, that sounds like a good idea, let's do it. So the night before, when they offered Aarti and then they would lock that door and they'd come out. The night before, the chair is sitting there and they have the altar. The Shirdi Baba statue was sitting in the front step, one of the first steps. When they open the door after this conversation and go in, the statue that was on the floor is now sitting on that chair, the mound of vibhuti on the head, on the lap, on that red cloth, like, Mata Ki Chauki, you put the red cloth, something like that. They had a red cloth and there's vibhuti on top of it. It is as if Swami was saying, I'm listening to every conversation in this house. He was showing that he was a Sarvantaryami. And right by that is a picture of Jesus. It's not any picture, it's the picture of Jesus, the Sacred Heart picture. one Christmas, my mother felt we should have bhajans for Christmas. See, now we don't even think twice. We'll have bhajans for Jewish New Year. We'll have bhajans for Christmas, right? This is 1964 in a staunch Orthodox Hindu family, a Brahmin family where Saligramam Puja is being done. It's unthinkable to think somebody would be open to the idea of having bhajans on Christmas. Forget bhajans, having bhajans on Christmas. So, you have to have that Vishala Hridayam, that open-heartedness, all-encompassing love, which my grandfather had. And without his support, there's no way they could have accomplished any of this and gotten this close to Swami. So when my mother expresses, it's a desire. When it's a noble desire, all the forces in the universe will make it happen. But if the intent is not noble, no matter how you try, your plan will be thwarted. So this was a sincere, noble desire that my mother expressed. Immediately my grandfather says, I'll go bring colored flowers. He gets on his trusted bicycle and he goes to town. They used to call it Paris Corner. So he took his cycle and went there to pick the flowers, and he brought it. One story I mentioned, my family's connection with Swami is through flowers. And you'll see it towards the last story that I'm sharing. The reason I put up these slides is, it's so difficult to comprehend, to explain what happened 45 years of my life. And my mother's now 81. She came to Swami when she was around 20. It's difficult to, capture all of that in 1 hour. So my grandfather goes and buys his flowers and comes. They would make these tumbapu garlands. I don't know if any of you have seen it. I should have put a picture of that. It's really tiny. Each flower is the size of my pinky nail. Imagine making a life-size garland for Swami with that. Now, this is not the typical flower that you ladies may remember tying like that. You can't do that. You definitely cannot put needle to thread to do this. It's so tender, so delicate that my mother would say, if you hold the flower in your hand in the Chennai heat, you can watch it turning brown. No fridge in the house, let me remind you, no fridge. Imagine how they would have even preserved this. We lose power for a day and we panic like, I can't function. We don't have electricity. I think, if I remember correctly, they would use the stove, that's how they managed. So they would make life-size garlands. So these flowers are white in color. In fact, they would say idli should be like tumbapu white, right? So these white garlands, it'll be boring to have just a plain white, right? So my grandfather would buy these color flowers to attach in the middle. Just picture it in your mind's eye. There's a string of white, and then there's orange, and there's green and orange, and then there's white. So they would do this. Everybody learned how to make these garlands. How they even knew such a thing existed is when they were going to Parthi, they would see these aunties, these permanent resident aunties by one of the sheds, Ganesh shed, and they would make these garlands. But see, even in small things like this, we should learn. They did not want to compete with them and take away their opportunity. They would say, when Swami comes to Chennai, we should offer these garlands. They never once tried to do that there. So whenever Swami would come to Chennai, they would make these garlands. And Swami used to stay, this was before Sundaram happened, so this was in Venkatamuni's house, Sushilamma and Venkatamuni. You may have read about them in the Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Their son was named Ishwar, which is why my mother named my brother Ishwar. So she would hear Swami calling him by that name all the time. So they would make these garlands and offer to Swami. So when my grandfather brought these colored flowers, they made the garland and they offered. So when bhajans happen, because the altar is so small, they would sit outside and have the bhajans and then go inside to offer arti. So when they went inside to offer the arti, imagine this picture of Sacred Heart of Jesus covered with the dusting of vibhuti. Now, I haven't seen this, but the way I picture it in my mind's eye is, if you parked your car by the lake, by where there's a lot of pollen, your car has this full blanket of yellow or white, and then you've seen sometimes children try to scribble on it. So that's kind of how it looked, a dusting of vibhuti, and then with a finger, someone has written the Tamil letter Om. Tamil letter Om and a cross. Again, let me remind you, this was before the Sarvadharma symbol came into existence, before the concept of unity of faiths. Let us sing Sarvadharma bhajans. There was no Sarvadharma stupa, no symbol, nothing. And Swami was again acknowledging, you had a noble desire. You wanted to please Swami. Swami says, all are one, be alike to everyone. And you actually tried to practice that, and he was rewarding that. There are several, again, how do we capture all of them? Yesterday, my mother was reminding me that it was not necessarily during Shivratri, because every Shivratri they would go to Parthi as a family. One time when they went to offer Aarti, again, picture this in your mind's eye. There's a picture of Shiva all in his blue. And then you have the Ganges, a shower of Ganges coming from here. The way my mother described this, torch adikira mari, like it's as if you're using a flashlight. Exactly where the Ganges is on his head, vibhuti is falling like that, like a shower of vibhuti. And they would just give it away to people. Again, I'm so glad they didn't get carried away and they passed that down to the future generations too, because that is very, very important. And she was telling me sugar would materialize from these pictures. In fact, day before yesterday when I left home, I had brushed, gotten ready. As I was getting ready to get in my car to drive to the airport, she comes and puts a piece of sugar. She says, when you travel, when you go out, you should take sugar. So Swami was again blessing, auspiciousness, right? Shivam. So he was blessing with sugar materialization. He kept proving, I am privy to every conversation you are having in this home. And naturally, when something like this happens, no matter how much someone tells you, but when you have your own experience, nothing can shake that. Like if I tell you, are you sure that is your mother? You'll say, of course that is my mother. So it was like that kind of faith. Of course that is my God. That is my personal Bhagwan. And this is a story my mother did not want me to forget. So all of you must be familiar, especially those who are SSC teachers here, and if there are any young adults who went through the SSC program. When Swami was a young boy, he wrote and enacted he was a director, he wrote the script, and he acted as a protagonist. Krishna, the name of the place, Cheppinettu Chestara. Do your deeds match your words? So the family knew that this story was very dear to Swami. It's the first ever story he wrote. So they wrote the entire script in Telugu. Now you may wonder, I'm speaking so much Telugu. Yes, I am born into this Tamil family. My mother learned to read and write Telugu so she could write letters to Swami. And in those days, not all discourses would have a translator. So, you'd have these main functions like Shivratri, Navratri, Dashara, where Swami would have a translator. But she wanted to understand everything Swami said without somebody else paraphrasing it. Now, some of the quotes we read, Swami did not say it like that. Man is getting in and using his own wisdom that he thinks, God may have made a mistake, let me correct him grammatically and put it together in a nice package and sell it to the audience. A catchphrase. But things like love all serve all, help ever net, no, Swami himself has said. Trying to keep track of time. I told sister to give me a 10-minute warning. All right. So the family started getting involved in service, started getting involved in the organization. Everybody did their part. My grandfather and aunt were serving in the organization. This is a picture, again, this is the best I could do clarity-wise. This was taken during the first All India Conference of Office Bearers held in Abbotsbury in Chennai in Swami's Divine Physical Presence. So somewhere in that picture is my grandfather and my aunt who's right after my mother is right between, she has two sisters above her, two below her. So the sister right next to my mom. She's in this picture with Swami. They served, I think, as president and as secretary. And they had a samiti in the home. There is another picture. This is a picture of Swami with the volunteers. You'll wonder why I didn't say Sevadal, but in those days they were called volunteers, not Sevadal. And it used to be an orange scarf. Swami would come and handpick in Parthi. Those who would like to serve as Sevadal would sit in a block, and Swami would go, you. He would do this, and he would send them into the mandir. They would wait, Swami would go in, address them and say, this is how you should do seva, this is how you should not do seva, be loving. And he would distribute scarves to all the volunteers. He would bless them with Pada Namaskar and give his words of wisdom. And he would give a badge. In those days, there was a badge too that they would put on the scarf. This is not the yellow and red scarf that you see today. Now it's yellow and red for the ladies, and I think blue, light blue and dark blue for the men. It was different. It was orange scarf then. And once you're chosen by Swami to serve as a volunteer, every time you visit Parthi, you can serve as a volunteer. It becomes like a right that Swami gives you. And they've participated in service activities, big service activities like the Modi Eye Camp, where several people, surgeries. There are some beautiful pictures of Swami by patients who had eye procedures done. So the family was definitely blessed with a lot of laddu moments. Now, I mentioned that my mother was serving as a volunteer. The one with the yellow star, like to Swami's left, with the yellow star in front of her, with that serious stern look, is my mother. She's the biggest critic of my talks. I'm sure she'll tell me I spoke too fast. I said, Amma, it's pravaham, it's coming in a flow. So I missed out my aunt in these stories, right? You may be wondering, what seva could your aunt have done? She's physically handicapped. Not to underestimate the power of prayer. I know the letters are small, so I will read this. In the Satya Sai Vahini, that Swami put pen to paper and Swami wrote these 14 Vahinis. In the Satya Sai Vahini, there's a chapter dedicated for prayer. And under that, there's a section called Credentials for Prayer, Proper Prayer. You heard that right. Swami saying, what are the credentials for proper prayer? So I'll give you homework. Please go. Everything is available. You don't even have to go to the bookstore here. Go to your Google search, type Satya Sai Vahini, and type credentials for proper prayer. And this section will come up. But the portion that's highlighted, I'm going to read it out verbatim because I don't want to paraphrase Swami. In this particular chapter, Swami says, there are 3 types of activities that reach God and earn His grace. Activity not prompted by personal desire, activity emanating from unselfish love, and prayer arising from pure hearts. These are the items to which God pays heed. They reach God directly. The rest are the concerns of deities who preside over their disposal. And the reason I'm sharing this particular section is, what service did my aunt do? She prayed for anybody who needed help. It was not for Anu to recover from the accident, or it was not for another cousin to get this job that she's hoping for. I remember one of my cousins, she said, Amma, Perima, my friend's child is sick, going to have surgery. It's very critical. She will just say, okay, I'm praying for her. She will do 1,008 Gayatris for the randomest people that she's never met. Again, Swami says, where there's no personal, you're not expecting something in return. What this person is never going to know my Perima prayed for her. And my grandmother used to say, you keep making these random prayers, I'll offer 108 Korakate and I have to sit with you and make those modakams. The chopu, you know how long it takes? As it is feeding a family of so many. That is how selfless. Swami says this body is given to us to serve. That's the theme of this conference. Paropakaram idam shariram. Yesterday, Brother Shreyas was asking, why do you serve? What is it? What is that calling? Well, the auntie who was sitting next to me said, because you have to. Paropakaram idam shariram. This body is given to you to serve, not to eat, drink, and make merry. Khana, pina, sona, as Swami would say. So that is how she contributed. That was her seva. She would pray for everyone. Later on, I'll share a story about my accident. I don't know how I'm going to do that in the 15 minutes. But she would, when I underwent a very difficult time in my life, we wanted to keep it from her. She was very attached to me. She knew something was up. People were scurrying back and forth. She wasn't seeing me. What's going on? Finally, when they told her, you could have told me 3 days ago, that would have been, 3,500 Gayatris in her bank. That's her love. I'll quickly run through some of these slides and then go to the story about the accident. Not everybody can go out and serve food. Not everybody can go to a medical camp and serve. Not everybody can even go and plant the trees this afternoon. You may have a health condition that prevents you from being out in the sun. That does happen. But everybody can pray. I think it was Dr. Martin Luther King who said, everybody can be great because everybody can serve. We can be great just by praying for someone. If you're lying in a hospital bed, legs broken, you can still pray for somebody who's in a worse situation than you. Up next is a collage of pictures, Sundaram, as the name says, beauty. The first picture to your top left is just a nice, probably a drone picture of Sundaram. That beautiful building, I don't know if you're able to see, right in the center you see this, like a balcony. It's the shape of a lotus. I know we have some Sundaram singers here, you would know. After Nagar Sankirtan, which is, Nagar is street, after street singing, we would line up in that road there, and those who are able to will go inside, and the rest will stand outside. And Swami would come up to that balcony and give darshan and bless everybody. Such a precious memory. And this is how darshan used to be in those days in the bottom left. They would build these barricades, and based on what group you belong and you sit there, Swami would just glide there and give darshan. one of my first darshans ever was in Sundaram. And to the right, you see Swami with Balvika's children. That's not me, that's just some other Balvika's children. So my foundation, this love and devotion for God, came from, of course, my mother and the family, maternal side of the house, and also from my Balvika's teachers. And I owe a lot to all the aunties, Subbalakshmi Mami. And I've heard Maithili Mami singing beautiful bhajans. Raji auntie has taught us bhajans. If I close my eyes, I can picture it. There's a beautiful Shirdi Baba statue that Swami installed. To the back of that building, we would sit there and Raji auntie would teach us bhajans. I still remember when I sang Radhika Jeevana, she said, "You sang well, but why are your eyes closed? You have to open your eyes and sing." That's something I've still not corrected. And from here, how did the transition to Anantapur as a Sai student happen? So I went through the Balvikas program, was part of the pre-Sevadal as what we call a youth period. And I accompanied my mother for Prashanti Seva. Yesterday I talked about some of the service projects my mother was involved in, reading to the visually impaired, sadhana camps that I've accompanied her. But just a set of different pictures of Swami in Anantapur. What led me, about my journey to Anantapur itself? The Anantapur campus, I don't know if many of you knew this, it's spread over 88 acres of land. It's the largest of the 4 campuses. Again, bragging rights. Like yesterday I said, sports meet, the tradition was started in Anantapur. This is the largest campus. Can't be by chance. Nothing the Lord does is by chance. And before I can even get into how I got to Anantapur, I have to say, when I accompanied my mother during one of those trips for Prashanti Seva as a pre-Sevadal, my mother was given duty in the canteen, South Indian canteen, washing the plates. And I was given duty in one of the West blocks, security duty. Like as people come in, you check in how many bags they have and make sure nothing out of the ordinary is happening. So after that month-long seva, we were taken to Brindavan for Pad Namaskar. Those days it was taken for granted. You put your time in as a Sevadal and Prashanti Seva, you're taken for blessings from Swami. Because Swami was in Brindavan and not in Parthi at that time, and he did not do this for his own comfort to go and enjoy the cool weather. Devotees would come to see him and they'll be put to inconvenience. Therefore, Swami stayed there. In case any of you are wondering, skeptic, why did he have to go to Kodaikanal? Why did he have to go to Bangalore? It's not for himself. It's so his devotees won't be. Some people have never gone to Kodaikanal. They only went because Swami was there and got a vacation out of it, right? Again, that too is his giving nature. So we were taken to Brindavan for Pad Namaskar. And as we were waiting for darshan, Swami came out. That was a long story, but I'll skip that for now. I had offered a letter to Swami saying, Swami, I would like to become a student. Because in the security duty I'd interacted with some Anantapur hopefuls who had come to give their exams. And I realized, this would be an opportunity for darshan, sparshan, samvashan. You get to be molded by God, for the lack of a better word. And I really wanted that. That desire was there. So I offered that letter to Swami. Swami took the letter, blessed me profusely with Pad Namaskar. So I was so excited, I came back and I applied for intermediate, which is 11th grade. Got admission, went to Anantapur, extremely homesick. For about a week, all I did was cry and write letters, dozens of letters. And after about a week, my parents gave in. They showed up there and they took me back home. They got a earful from Hemalata ma'am, who was the principal, saying, you think this is a lodge, you just come, drop, and pick up when you want? Go back. But the next 2 years, I regretted my decision. Sometimes you have to make a mistake to realize I shouldn't make it again, right? Neti, neti, you can say that only if you've done that, you can say, I did that and I shouldn't have. So 2 years later, for undergrad, I told my mother, I'm not going to apply anywhere. Now I see some youth here, I see parents, who have children either in college or who are just out of college. Have any of your kids applied to one college and one college alone? Nobody does that. I can say with pride, the only college I applied to was Swami's college in Anantapur. I was like, if Swami chooses not to give me a seat this year, he'll give it to me next year. He has to. There's this beautiful poem that Swami's right. It's a long verse, I won't go into that now. He says, once you've made that determination, don't go till God gives it to you. So thankfully, Swami was gracious enough to accept me and give me a second chance. That's how I became a student. And these are some pictures of the Anantapur campus. On the top left is Swami in the corridor. In the stairs, I know many of you have seen the boys come and share pictures where Swami's doing this and that. Swami gave just as much love to the girls. We just didn't care to go around talking about it as much. That is Swami in the foyer and the college stairs. And to the top right is Swami in the college library. I think I met Pushpa ma'am's niece here. I don't know if she's here today, her sister. She was the assistant warden then, and the librarian also. In the bottom left is Swami, again in our foyer. You see that beautiful mural. If you've seen that picture of, there's a hummingbird in the back on that wall, that's from the Anantapur campus. And the bottom right is a jula that was decorated in the college. The college, it's a circular building, and in the center, in the quadrangle, Swami would sit there and talk to the students. Unfortunately, I have not experienced this personally. Swami's last visit to Anantapur was in 1989, and I joined there only in 1992. But I've heard enough stories about these experiences. And there's a handful of pictures again. Top left is from our sports meet that Swami came for the inauguration, and Swami's accepting the salute from the students. And right in the top middle is a picture from one of the plays in the college auditorium in Anantapur. Swami came up to the stage, and in fact, that particular play, Swami even took it to Prashanthi Nilayam. He said, this is such a good play, everybody should watch it, bring it to Prashanthi Nilayam. Top right is girls doing rollerblading. I've interacted with some of those Didis there, and apparently Swami said to the elders that he had taken with him, look at my girls, they're floating like angels. He bragged, but he didn't make a show out of it, because he was his protective father. Would my father have liked it if my pictures were plastered and talks? No, he wouldn't have. So he's like that, he's protective of the girls, not that he didn't give attention to us. Bottom right is a brass band with Swami. They would play, on Swami's birthday and special events, sports meet. Bottom middle is Swami in our dining hall, which also doubled up as a bhajan hall. And to the bottom left is Swami again in the college. Okay, this is from the time that I was there, 1992 to 95. The top left is our summer course picture, 1992. And there's a beautiful story attached to that top left and the top right picture, and I'll quickly share this as best I can. Maybe Swami doesn't want me to share the accident story today. He wants it to be hopeful and uplifting. So when the first summer course was in 1992. Towards the end of the summer course, Swami sent word, and he said, I'm going to distribute saris to all the students and staff. I was given that I was already very homesick 2 years ago. History repeated itself, and I cried again. I said, I had never lived outside of home. I know that might seem like an alien idea to some of you young adults who are like, I can't wait to leave the home and go as far as I can, but that wasn't me. That wasn't me. Now kids will go all the way to the other coast just so they only have to see parents every, once or twice a year. So again, I was feeling homesick, but this time my mother was not having any of it. I'm still a teenager, and she says, yes, if you want to come back, I'll take you back under the condition that I'll get you married right away. I said, Mom, is that even legal? So that was enough to convince me to stay, because I had made that decision. She only supported me in it. My mother didn't force me to do anything. Thankfully, my father was supportive. He didn't come in the way. So this time she said, no, you're not coming back, you're staying here. And she said, you keep crying, Amma, Appa, there's only so much we can do for you, and we can hear you and come to your rescue, like we did 2 years ago, only if we are within hearing distance. Why don't you call on Swami, who's Sarvantaryami? I've told you all these stories, these experiences. Have you learned nothing? Call on Swami, and he will give you the strength to get over this. And I, like all teenagers do, I brush her off and say, yeah, right, I'm rolling my eyes. So that is the evening Swami sends word for sari distribution. And you may remember, if you've seen in darshan videos, devotees would sit in rows facing each other. Swami would walk through those rows and distribute the saris, take letters. But that year, Swami said, I'm very busy. I have all these dignitaries visiting from, different parts of the country. There were several people, I think, from Delhi. The cabinet ministers had come. He said, I'm going to distribute the saris in the Trai lawns, Trai Brindavan. You come, and you just come in your groups, respective groups. Biosciences, physical sciences, commerce, one by one, first years, and I'll give you the sari and go, no pad namaskar, take your saris and go. And, we think we are very smart, and we try to outsmart Swami. We think we are very clever. So I'm waiting in line. Imagine Swami's there. I'm waiting in line. There are 2 or 3 girls in front of me. And in that split second, I'm thinking, I'm so homesick. Swami, you can't send me away to Anantapur, as if he's sending me to a dungeon. You can't send me away there without pad namaskar. Come on, Swami, I deserve that. So Swami's distributing the saris. My turn's about to come up, and I come up with a plan. And I decide, when Swami hands me the sari, I'm going to collect it, Nobody's paying attention to me. Who's paying attention to me if all eyes are on Swami? When he gives me the sari, I'm going to accidentally drop it by his feet. Accidentally, right? Accidentally. Totally. That could have totally worked, but for Swami. I thought I'll drop the sari not on Swami's feet. That would be rude. Drop it by his feet. And when you pick up the sari, oh, it was an accident. Nicely touch his feet. Nobody's going to notice. Who am I trying to outsmart? The Lord of the universe. Swami hands me the sari, and there's a mini tug-of-war. He's not letting go, I'm not letting go. But I make it sound like it was just a few moments, but Swami made eye contact, like I know what you're thinking, that look. He gives that, I know what you're thinking look. Then I collected the sari, and then he gave me that, there are some cute pictures of Swami doing that. He gave me that look. Of course, at that moment, I was disappointed. I was thinking, oh man, didn't get the Pad Namaskar. But there was a deeper lesson. My mother had just told me earlier that day, call on him. He knows your every thought. I had had this thought. As the thought was manifesting in my mind, he knew. And he came up with a counter thought for that. So that is the sari I'm wearing in the top right. Swami distributed it during that summer course. And summer course is in May. My birthday falls in July, close to Guru Purnima. Unlike the boys who can go on their birthday to get their blessing, the girls, we are only taken there for festivals. So if your birthday falls close to Guru Purnima, you can sit for blessings during the festival when you're taken there. So I was wearing that sari, and I was sitting there waiting for blessings. Swami came up there. There was another birthday girl sitting next to me. Though it wasn't actually my birthday, because it was close to the festival, I was sitting there. I had akshantalu, the holy rice, the sacred rice, and some toffees for Swami to bless. Swami takes the akshantalu, puts it on my head, allows me to take Pad Namaskar. And then he says, I'm going to say it in Tamil again, because you may have seen a few clips of Swami speaking in Tamil, like when he went for the inauguration of the water project. Swami will talk like he doesn't know Telugu. Right? Not only did he know Tamil, he knew the dialect we used in our home, in a Tambram home. He said, Appa Amma Vandirkala, good morning sollu. Typically in Tamil we'll say, Appa Amma Vandirkangala, good morning sollu. Appa Amma Vandirkala, good morning sollu. Mother and father have come, say good morning to them. And see, I'm still a teenager. I don't think that whenever Swami says something, there's a deep meaning. It's not quite set in yet. I said, what is Swami talking about? And he looks at me and the girl sitting next to me. But no, nevertheless, we are just happy. Not only did we get darshan, we got sambhashan, we got to speak to the Lord, and we got to touch his feet. What more can you ask for? Blissed out. Swami blesses the toffees, and I excitedly leave. You may remember in those days, you could enter from the mandir side. The ladies would enter from the mandir side, and devotees would also enter from the canteen side. So students would enter and exit from the mandir side. It's a small flight of stairs, 3 or 4 maybe. As we are exiting, I climb up there and I see both my parents by those palm trees. They're standing there with their bag and baggage. They had come the night before, they'd taken the overnight bus to come there to surprise me because they knew I was a crybaby. They came to surprise me for my birthday, and they'd brought some gifts for me, sweets that I like and things like that. I didn't even know, and saw me saying, I know your parents are here. Again, he's proving his omniscience and that he knows everything, right? That picture in the bottom right is from Purnachandra Auditorium, as well as the bottom left is also in Purnachandra Auditorium. That is me. Yes, I look like a dork with glasses, but that is me. And right in the middle is Swami giving us an interview, the final years. Finally, outgoing batch of students got an interview, and Swami spoke to us like a father, like a loving father and mother that he always is. And if you can see, I particularly chose this picture because Swami himself is closing the mandir door. He didn't want paraphernalia. He didn't want anybody, the boys, coming to close the door. He's like, I can take care of it. These are my girls. I want my time with them. Just the students, outgoing batch of students, or the teachers. Swami closed the door. No microphones. Swami speaking to us, and our warden Gemma madam is translating for us. So loving. Swami gave us advice. He said, you're going out into the world. Many of you will get married. This is how you should lead your life. Don't forget Swami. The only Guru Dakshina I'm asking for is that when you have children, raise them to be good citizens of the world. Who will ask something like that? It is said The Vedas, it is said, darshanam papanashanam, which means just the sight of the Lord, it will destroy all of your sins. Sambhashanam sankantanashanam, just having that ability to talk to him, have that back and forth, all your troubles, all your sorrows will disappear, and having the opportunity to touch him. Sparshanam karma vimochanam. You're liberated from all the karmic points. And we discussed those stories yesterday about the Sevadal from Orissa, who Swami said, I'm giving you instant liberation. You did something that nobody else was willing to do. That instant liberation can give. I know my time is up. Maybe if it's Swami's will, at a future time, few years from now, we will focus on. We do? It's not going to put you behind on anything else, is it? Okay. Sorry. Swami was very particular. He was a stickler for punctuality. He wouldn't like us to. SSC program starts at 10:45. Okay. Okay. Please, I won't be offended if you need to stand up and stretch. Please do. I know I'm keeping you 10 more minutes, Swami wouldn't like for me to inconvenience you. That's a disservice too. I'll try and be as brief about this. I don't know how I'm going to capture this in 10 minutes, but I will try and do my best. You can see this seems to look like a roadmap. After my first year, you may think, oh, life is so rosy. She had all these beautiful moments. That's not the case with me. I went through these challenges. Somebody was sick. Somebody passed away. An untimely death. There's a marital issue. All kinds of things. Mental afflictions, health problems, financial problems. All kinds of problems we all have. And we think at a time when we needed Swami the most is when he totally abandoned me and looked the other way. This story is to prove that otherwise. After the first year, the summer course vacations, everybody goes home. And I had heard that in Kodai, you have these really intimate darshans with Swami. It's a small group in Sai Shruti. To the right, you see a picture of Sai Shruti. So I had written to my mother and said, Amma, I'm arriving on this date. I'll quickly, pack up a set of clothes, do the laundry, get everything ready, and then we are going to go to Kodai. We're literally going to, stalk Swami, chase Swami. And she had as much pitchy for Swami. Swami says, if there's any madness you can have, which is good for you, it's madness for God. It's okay to have that pitchy for God, and she kind of encouraged me in that. I feel like in many ways, I lived her dream vicariously, because she had certain restrictions. She was married into a family where she couldn't worship Swami. A promise was taken from her on Swami's picture that she will not go see Swami. So after that first year, I decided to go with my mother to see Swami in Kodaikanal. And just to give you an idea, this road trip is about 550 kilometers, maybe 550 miles, not for kilometers, but 500 plus miles. We took this car trip. We rode by car. We had almost gone more than 3/4 the way. Just another 57 miles left to go. In a town near Dindigul, you may remember Maharajapuram Santanam had his accident right in that area, and he passed the year before, I think. So right there at Dindigul, our vehicle met with an accident. That itself is a long story. I feel like in many ways Swami indicated this was going to happen, but it's supposed to happen. It's part of your prarabdha karma, which you have to, live out, like it happened, with several devotees we discussed yesterday. So the accident happens, and our car is hit, but I'm the only one injured in the car. And the impact of me falling on my mother's arm, her arm was slightly, twisted, but she recovered from that soon. Long story short, I had to be admitted in a hospital in the middle of the boonies in Dindigul. We could actually hear the howling of jackals. It was literally out in the boonies. With great difficulty, my mother managed to take me back, arrange for another vehicle. She took me back to Chennai. It was in St. Isabel's Hospital that I was operated. Many of you SSC teachers may know Aparna Murli. She and I were batchmates. It's her father, Dr. Vijay Kumar Uncle, late Vijay Kumar Uncle, who's done yeoman service to Swami. Uncle administered anesthesia for me for that surgery. So the accident impacted my right side pelvic bone. I had multiple fractures. And I remember Uncle Vijay Kumar telling my mother and me that, when we were looking at her X-ray, Ma, Swami's grace is there. If you connect all these broken pieces, it forms the letter S. Swami's grace is there. And, he was saying it like it's Swami's grace. I'm like, what a cruel joke, Swami. When we go into that self-deprecation mode and self-pity mode, we want to come swinging, right? And we want to hurl all of these things. But it was a sign of his grace. Uncle in all his spiritual maturity did mention it correctly. So I have this accident, and then I'm recovering. But right then when I'm in the hospital in Dindikal, and when we're very scared, 2 ladies, my mother has this responsibility of caring for this. Doctors are scaring her. They're saying, you need to, inform when she's time for her marriage. You need to inform childbirth and all may be difficult. You need to come clean. They are scaring her. I'm a teenager. And she brought me, all relatives would have said, your child came to spend time with you in the summer and you ran after Baba. You need her to have that conviction, right? She's so scared. And she says, oh my God. I said, what, Amma? What are you talking about? She said, Swami predicted this. I said, what do you mean? 6 months, there's a reason I'm not going to the next slide yet. I'll finish it soon. 6 months prior to this accident happening, just to give you timelines, my accident took place in April 1993. October of 1992, the Sevadals from Kodaikanal had Prashanti Seva. But they didn't have enough people, so since my mother happened to be there, and she had her scarf, Rani auntie, who was in charge of the ashram there, Sai-Shruti, she said, oh Jaya, you have your scarf, can you join us for service? So my mother got bonus extra service, and with the bonus of service comes the coveted Pada Namaskar. So my mother had this habit, every time she would go for the Sevadal's Pada Namaskar, she would get things blessed for my Perima, for my eldest aunt, a sari and some other things for Swami to bless. So she took a sari and toffees, and also it's kind of to stall and keep Swami in front of you for those few extra moments like the Laddu boys did. So he'll stay there and you have that eye-to-eye contact with him. So when Swami came to give the blessings, he collected this pile of letters that she had, which were given by devotees. One of the letters that was given to her to give to Swami was actually a drawing. And I will show you that in just a moment. Was a drawing, it looked like a drawing of Swami, watercolors, just a drawing of Swami. She took it and she offered all of the letters. In fact, this letter was not even on top of her pile. But the Lord knows. He took the pile of letters from Amma and he pulled out this one envelope. Well, at that time we didn't know it's an envelope. He pulls this out, gives it to her, looks her deep in the eye. My mother says, I can never forget that look, those piercing eyes, like I know. He gives it to my mother and he says, Pettuko. Means keep it, as if to say, you need to come back to this. Pay attention. Like, in school we say, I'm going to come back to that point and quiz you. Pettuko. She's just happy. Swami touched something, he gave it to me, and she's happy. She comes and asks the lady who gave it to her. She said, no, Swami gave it to you, you can keep it. She goes home and puts it behind Swami's picture. The next day she feels, oh, it's so nice, Swami touched it. She takes the envelope. She realizes it's an envelope. And you'll understand exactly when I go to the next picture. I don't want to give away. She realizes it's an envelope. She opens the envelope, and inside the envelope are a set of drawings. And that's where we will go now. So, to the left is what my mother saw, what everybody saw. They thought it's just a drawing. Somebody's giving her a drawing to offer to Swami. To the right, right in the middle, that was actually inside this envelope. And on the far right, I've just zoomed in on those. You can see it's 3 sections to that middle picture. In the top, you can clearly tell it looks like a surgeon's table. And the exact area, it's strange. It's like a Bollywood movie. I don't know how much you believe this. The surgeon is holding his hands right by the right pelvic area, as you can see. And Swami's blessings, rays, are coming right into the patient that's lying on the bed. And you can see the stretcher nurse. And you can almost see like a deepam leaving, like Jyoti, like something is meant to happen. Some life is meant to end. And the second half of the picture, it is just this, you can clearly tell it's a young woman. My mother says white sari, hint, hint, student. So you can tell it's a young woman laying there, and it's Swami giving his blessings, again in that exact area. And this time she interprets it as Swami giving life back, the life that was supposed to go, life coming back. And at the very bottom, you see in Tamil it's written, Nandri Swami Mikka Nandri. Thank you, Swami, thank you so much. And the flowers. And I mentioned the Tumbapu garlands earlier. To this day at 81, my mother's still doing flower seva at our center. Had she come here, she would have insisted that you put a garland for Swami. And it would have been very hard to tell her otherwise. Right? Again, was that a very difficult period of my life? No one should have to go through that. But do all of us have problems? I went through it in my teenagers. You may have gone through it. And in my car journey, I heard that, sister was sharing about something similar happening in her life. We've all been through some kind of trauma, emotional, mental, physical, financial. When we feel Swami is not with us, he's actually the story of the footprints in the sand, which many of you, yes, I'm seeing a lot of you nod. There was this man who said, "Oh Lord, you've been with me all my life. I look at the footprints in the sand, but when I was at my lowest moments, I only see one pair of footprints. You abandoned me." And the Lord says, "No, it is my set of footprints because I was carrying you on my shoulders." When this happened, I went through this self-pity and, I was like, why did this? We all ask this question, why me? I wasn't quite saying I did so much for you, but I was like, I said I was mad for you. Not for the world. I mean, it's a very silly fact, but that was the year the movie Jurassic Park released. I mean, my cousins thought I was crazy for not wanting to go see the movie. So that is how I had Swami Pichi, and I said, I want to follow Swami. I don't care about this movie. I don't care about Spielberg. I don't need to watch this movie. And I said, Swami, I left everything for you, and you left me. So I was very, resentful and a little bit bitter and angry, and I was even more angry because I missed several days of summer course. And summer course is that precious time where Swami just showers you with attention, more attention, and all the yummy goodies. You'll have kesari, you'll have laddu, and you'll have mango prasadam. Triple. So I was very disappointed that I was missing summer course, but Swami had come in several dreams in St. Isabel. That's another story for another day. But he indicated to me, you will attend the last 2 days of summer course. The doctors haven't even discharged me yet. In fact, they had these tubes that were connected there to drain the fluid. I can't go somewhere with those tubes attached to my body. As soon as they released that, they said, yes, we are discharging you. No road travel, no sitting in the bus, no using an Indian toilet. Every single rule I broke that same day. Got in a bus that night with my mother, went to Vrindavan. And I'm going there thinking, well, we got the letter, we know today is the last day of summer course, everybody must have left to Anantapur. As I'm entering, I'm talking to one of the senior Akkas who's doing security duty. I said, Akka, everybody's left to Anantapur. No, this year Swami extended summer course by 2 days. And then I go in, I'm still upset. I have not forgiven Swami yet. He needs our forgiveness, right? So I'm going in there, and this time I'm really angry. I'm like, I'm going to show you what you did to me. So this time I put the inside portion on top of the envelope, and I'm sitting for darshan. I didn't even get front row. I was in the third row, and tears are just flowing. Can't control. When Swami comes for darshan, I'm almost angrily giving it to him, the tears flowing. I can't bring any words. I'm almost giving it to him to say, look what happened to me. Swami looks at it very indifferently. He says, "Theek hai." Again, the choice of words, right? It seemed cruel to me at that time. I said, the least you can do, Swami, is acknowledge what I'm going through, right? You can at least say, Pavam, ayo papam, nenu unnanamma, I'll give you vibhuti, I'll cure you. None of that. Theek hai, an assertive theek hai, matter of fact, and he just walks off, looks at it, gives it back to me. No vibhuti, prasadam, nothing. It wasn't until many years later that I had closure to this incident, if I could call it that. I was in Kansas City at that time, and I had gone to St. Louis. Brother Sundarayar in your region gave a talk there. And he mentioned about the snake bite incident, which I'm sure everybody knows. Can I get a show of hands if you do not know the story? Okay, so almost everybody knows the story. You can talk to any of the others if you don't know the story. And I realized, long story short, the moral of that story is Swami tells him, with this mouth I only utter words that are the truth. Had I acknowledged and said that was the bite of a cobra, you would have had the impact of the cobra. By saying it's a thorn, it's a piece of glass, that's what it became. Swami never once acknowledged that what happened to me actually did, because he had taken care of it. He had handled it. And, we gloss over his words, and I'm guilty of this too. He says, I'll guard you as the eyelid protects the eye. Neinta, venta, janta, kanta, nene eppudu untanu. I'm with you, I'm beside you, behind you, in front of you, under you. When you're jumping in the water and you're about to drown, it happened to me once. He's right there pulling you up too, that's him too. But the most important thing we forget, and we need constant reminders from others in the field, I am in you. I am also in you. I am God. You are me. I am you. We forget that. He's not in any one particular place. Let us not put him on this nice pedestal and decorate it, get nice fabric from India and fantastic decorations. Let's not put him up there. Let's take him with us when we drive the car. Let's take him with us wherever we go. And he says, I'm with you, in you, around you, just as the eyelid protects the eye. He's always here protecting us. I want to leave you with this parting thought that he's always with us, as he has shown us that he's with us during this retreat. Thank you all for your patient listening. Jai Sai Ram.
Saram? Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Sister Anu, for sharing those beautiful stories. Yeah, another big round of applause. We all know that Swami comes into our lives in different ways, and all of us, everyone here in this room, has some story of how Swami came into your life, or how he helped you through a difficult time. Even if you were never blessed to be in his physical presence, but still, everyone has that story. So, and how he transformed us as well, right? Even the most traditional Orthodox family, right, can be transformed. All you have to do is take that first step towards him. So, again, thank you, Sister, for sharing those beautiful and very moving stories.